My name is Nessa Roche, and I'm a student teacher at Kansas State University. And today I'm going to be talking about the learning environment within a classroom. Okay, so as the teacher in charge of a classroom during a lesson, I quickly realized that there was an intrinsic and academic need from me to my students. First, I had to get to know them and build a rapport with them, engage with them in conversations, ask them about their day, and be accessible to them. But most importantly, above all that, I had to have their best interests at heart. So, how do you establish to them that you are on their team and that you are there for them? I used the often approach of sitting in the hallways, giving them a high five and a smile, letting them know that I was glad to see them, and give them instruction as they entered the classroom so they didn't feel lost. And it could be as simple as, "Hi, Jacob, welcome. I would love to see that you get your journal ready and be at your table ready for instruction. Thanks for being here." And move on their way. And this rapport built a great communication between my students and myself, as well as my colleagues, and it allowed me to also open up dialogue to their families and their support systems within the school, such as their counselors, to build a safe and positive learning climate for them to be able to express themselves openly, have mutual respect for myself and their peers, know that they have support within the classroom, and to have an inquiry about the world and a constructive and academic nurturing environment. Um, One way that we did this was making sure that all the students had their individual counselor assigned to them. Being in an IB school, we have kids from all over the world. So, this relationship to a single person within our school allows us to have an ability to get to know a student on a deeper level and be able to use their life experiences to maybe gauge some interactions that they may be having in class and to keep them on par with behavior and academic outcomes within the classroom. Um, One way for me to be able to do this in a middle school, since it is a place of emotional stress and feelings and all the hormones going on, was build a sense of community within our classroom. I developed learning experiences that engage students and being able to have collaborative discussions between their peers, but also self directed learning that they maybe had to extend their interactions from a previous experience and with ideas from other students' perspectives, and then work on their own and see how they would reflect this into the real world application. Um, Seeing that this would be a different outcome for every student depending on what their individual life looks like, it gave us a really good sense of diverse community within the classroom and allowed us to do a lot with moving partners and being able to have a respect between all students and the way that they work with each other. I took the time to also collaborate with my students and get to know them if they had a 504 or if they were ESL or ELL, IEP or SPED. I took the time to really read their documentation to make sure that I was serving the best for them or not saying something that would be triggering for them within the classroom so that they were emotionally stable and ready to learn at all times. I also attended meetings called world meetings, and this is where my colleagues and I would share what we call high flyer or at risk kids. And we were able to build on our experiences with them individually within different classes and work out plans on how to best accommodate them within the classroom so that they felt the sense of inclusion and no isolation within the classroom and that behavior would stay on par with the rest of the class and that respect would be there. They also knew that if they were having a hard day, they would be able to use their resources and be able to go see that counselor or a different mentor teacher to be able to get emotionally stable to come back to class. Um, from the very first day that I was in the school, I set expectations for respectful interaction, rigorous academic discussion, and individual and group responsibilities for the quality of the work through the entire time. The biggest takeaway is that this must be consistent. From the day one to the last day, Your expectations need to be consistent so that they never feel wavered of your response to their academic failure and or ability to not turn in something on time, that they know if say it's 5 days late, you're going to get 5 points taken away. If it's 4 days late, whatever standard you have put into place is consistent, and they can count on your response to their behavior. This sense of consistency is very comforting for a middle school child, and they really strive off of that schedule and rigorousness, and they really appreciate knowing what to expect in a classroom of that dynamic. I also allowed students to make their choices according to the grade that they wanted on the groups that they picked. This can be seen in my geological activity timeline video, where I had made the announcement that they would be working in groups, but to pick a group that you would like to have the grade that you want reflected in. So if you were off task or had conversations that were not content of the lesson, then we would take this time to break up those communication groups and collaborative groups and be able to either redirect or make them have individual work. So they didn't have that social aspect within the class, but they knew that they needed to be on task and accountable for their own education during these collaborative experiences so that they had their own way to be graded or assessed, which was great. Lastly, I really relied on communication, both verbally and non-verbally, to demonstrate some respect and responsiveness to some of our children that were from different cultures. One of the things that I notice is that if you do this in some cultures, this means you're being shunned rather than to be quiet. So, telling them to be quiet like this was not an option for me because of the students that I had in my class, and I didn't want to disrespect them or make them feel like they're being shunned. So that was a great learning experience for me as well. Um, as a teacher, I want to be able to build those communications and interactions and respect and consistency with my kids, and to continue to bring that into my own classroom one day. Thank you so much for your time, and I will see you later.